Are we doing that? This is what we're doing today?
I guess so.
Uh,
It's early.
yeah.
We're doing it early.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Oh, Purvis. Purvis, how are you
Yes, sir.
this week?
It is finals week, so you know, finishing up my last little bit of my classes. I have one terrible classmate in my group project that's annoying, but
Dude, there's
but
always that guy. There's always one person, like in any
the
group
wild
project.
part,
And also,
but
like,
yeah,
at work. Like, at work, too. It's always like, if you get put on a group project, there's always one person where it's going to be like, yeah, they don't do anything.
you would think they'd grow out of it, but
No, no,
we
no.
are still.
Yeah, every place has like that one person where it's like, yeah, you don't do anything. And if you don't know who that person is, buddy,
That means you're
I got bad news
it.
for you.
It's funny because it's grad school, so it's people from everywhere, different backgrounds, and I know it's. I'm not gonna say his name actually. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But his last name is
Please,
Johnson, which is very broad.
please,
So
please do not dox this man.
yes, I'm not gonna do that. But his last name is Johnson, which is extremely broad. But everyone knows Johnson's a black name. So needless to say, I knew this was an older black guy, and I was trying to be on his side, some people out, but God damn it, man, he is really bad. He's really bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But anyway, enough
Uh,
about that. How are you? What have you
I'm,
been up to?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just my sister gets married in a month, so it's just like it's crazy. And work is just pretty steady, not too bad right now, so no complaints. Gonna
Wait,
be
are you an uncle?
no, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, well,
Nah, I will be soon, and I'm gonna be the
yeah.
sickest uncle. I am gonna be the come here, kids. I'm gonna tell you about hip hop and why you shouldn't trust the government.
Let's do one subject at a time. Start off with the first one, then.
Yeah, unlike you, who's gonna go up to my kid and be like, "Come on, we're gonna go to church. We need this."
I will definitely take your kids to church. No question.
Yeah.
They need a little bit of Jesus in their life.
Yeah, you're gonna have to eventually. Like, cause if they ask me about God, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, man. Like, he's somewhere. Like, maybe he's plants. That's my theory.
That would be one take.
Okay, so we do want to kind of take it easy this week. We had a long one last week,
We did.
so we're gonna talk about Bel-Air, the TV show. So, bit of a bit of a light one this week. And we don't even have like a whole lot of like news
Yeah, I was gonna
really
say.
either. So, do we kind of want to just talk about that Pusha T album? Like,
Yeah, I think we definitely could.
yeah,
We
let's talk
definitely
about that
could
Pusha
start.
T album for 10, 15 minutes. And
I
then
will.
we'll cover what
Like,
little news we have, and then we'll get to Bel Air.
okay, so I had a thought, and you already know how much I like this. We've been texting each other
Yeah,
about this nonsense.
it's impossible
Random
not
lyrics
to.
that like we just hear. No, it's really good. I think I've decided, and I actually brought this up earlier to you, and maybe we'll eventually do it. But we need to do a tier list because I'm moving Pusha T up to like an A or S rank at this
Oh,
point because every
that's
single thing that he puts out is amazing.
everything he puts out. It's interesting, right? Because I feel like the rule of thumb is that you have like I feel like the rule of thumb is that for most artists, if you want to have like a good long steady career, you kind of have to do something different every time, right? You don't have to be Kanye, but you do have to be like, I think of someone like a J. Cole, who like every project is distinct in its own way. Pusha T is like the
Yeah.
exception. He is just so consistent, and it's incredible. Like it's the exact opposite of what everyone says like being a successful artist is. And every single time he puts out an album, there's like a little voice in the back of my head going like, is this gonna be it? Is it not gonna be fun anymore? I'll tell you, not this time. This time's great. Like
Yeah, no, this was 100% worth it. The reason I wanted to kind of go over it, and I was thinking about it, We've talked about him in the past, Loki, in the podcast,
He's yeah,
and how the consistency. It's like it's kind of the same sound, but it's also not the same sound because you have people like the baby who has the same sound.
yeah, he
Like
has
after two or three, it doesn't work.
yeah. I
I
think
don't know
like,
how.
but I actually might push back on that because I think Pusha T might be in terms of just like how consistent his sound is. Like I actually don't think it's unfair to compare him to like the baby. It's just that his sound is good, and he's a talented enough rapper to pull it off.
That is fair.
Like that's kind of the way I see it. But continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Because the reason I was going to compare him to the baby was because like that consistent sound where after it repeats so long, you kind of get tired of it, or like it's the same thing over and over. But I feel like he adds just enough where it changes between songs, where it's still the same kind of flow and the same theme throughout all of his music, not just this album.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird, and I was thinking about this the other day. And maybe it's because it's so unique and different. Where like the consistency in the baby is like, okay, you're flexing, but every rapper flexes. Like there's nothing much more deeper to it. And even if you want to go past surface level, he's a terrible person. So that's all you're gonna find. Where like in Pusha T, if you go past that surface level of like the repeatedness, like I don't think we'll ever experience someone like Pusha T as an artist because like low key he's basically a drug lord in my opinion, but like we just don't know. And I feel like that's something extremely unique. Like there's no other people in the game right now that's so iconically known for being in a particular drug. That's not like lean because everyone does that and it's really bad.
So I've always heard that that's something of an act.
You said that's something what?
I've heard like Pusha T say that like he is, it's something of an act.
Okay.
Like he definitely does have that background, but I definitely think he blows it out and makes it like over the top. Especially because like I was listening to him talk about this project, and like he compared it to a mom movie, and I think it's kind of like that, right? It's like how Henry Hill like actually like he had these real life experiences that were probably fairly mundane, but when you put them all together and you put them like you know you give it to an artist who's as talented as
Right.
Pusha T or Martin Scorsese, you get like a Goodfellas. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I'm sure there's a background, but like, I mean, the dude was. I mean, we talked about it on this podcast. In the early 2000s, he was, years before he like blew up, like back when he was still in Klipsch, like he was writing copy for McDonald's.
Yeah.
So
This
I
is
don't
true.
doubt he has that background, but I think like the way it's portrayed on the music is something of an act, and I'm pretty sure he's been pretty open about that.
Which is still totally fine.
But that's totally fine, and like he pulls it off so good. Like,
Right. Like it makes you actually think into the perspective because that's what I was like kind of elaborating off what I was saying. Like I feel like he has enough influence in that culture where when he does tell his story, even if it is more of an act, he's able to portray really great imagery within the music.
yeah,
Where you actually feel not only that it's true, but like you're actually like a part of it.
yeah, because I definitely think he's in touch with that culture. I think that's a part of him. I just don't think it's to the degree that he shows on the music, which is totally fine. You know, I especially when the music just sounds that good. So like, what are your favorite tracks on it? Like, what are your favorite songs? Hard mode, can't say Brambleton.
Come on. I was about to- Um, say Bremerton. Brandon, I like all of his music. I mean, all
Every
of the
single song
songs.
is good. Every single song is incredible.
I was going to say, I don't know if there's a weak spot. Because at first, okay, I'll say this at the beginning. I didn't like Let the Smoker Shine in the Coops at first.
Really, I think it's like the most different Pusha T song ever, and I think it's very successful.
which is why it grew on me. That's what I said at first.
Okay, that's fair.
Like that at first, call my bluff. The first time listening to it, I said this is a really dope like chorus, but nothing past that.
I kind of
Because like
agree.
I feel like it was the slowest.
I kind of agree. Call My Bluff is if there's a part of the project I think it's kind of a downer, it's Call My Bluff for sure.
Okay, then we're on the
Yeah.
same page with that.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would mention that I am actually satisfied about. One of my pet peeves is when an album comes out and there's singles that were released before the album, and then they place these singles on the album and they're still the best songs. Because I feel like when I actually listen to the album the first time, I want to have that shock factor. And if the highest part of the album is songs that I already heard, it takes away from the experience. And I feel like that doesn't happen in this album,
I agree
which
with
I'm
that.
very satisfied about.
I agree with that. I don't think that's always true. I definitely think there are projects that go beyond that. And I even think there are projects that do that intentionally, e.g., Good Kid, Mad City. Like they subvert your expectations of it based on the single release. But yes, I definitely agree that like the singles that were released for this are far from the best songs on it.
Yes.
You know, I
Which
think
personally, like I said, that's something that I do enjoy.
yeah. Oh no, that's the best part. Is just like kind of going into something, just completely unaware. Now,
Wait,
I
what are
saw.
yours? Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't
mine
even ask.
are. I really love rock and roll. I really, really love
Okay.
that song. And the song I really want to talk about because I heard a lot of people say like, "Oh, the album's great, but like it has a couple weak songs." And the one that was most consistent was "Scrape It Off." But I fucking adore that song. That song's great. So
Yes.
that was it was interesting. It was seeing like Don Toliver and Little Uzi Vert because like Don Toliver, like I'm in like this very weird stage with him, right? Like we've talked about
Mm,
this, where
right.
like I really recognize the dude's talent and I know he's gonna do something, but like I've listened to Life of a Don twice and I could not name you a single song, right? Like, and I think that kind of speaks for itself, at least just purely emotionally. But I recognize the dude's talent, so like I know eventually down the road that's not going to be the case.
Okay.
Yeah. So hearing him come so strong on this, that was gross. Hearing him, like,
Wait, I didn't even think about it that way, bro.
uh,
Pause. Okay. Moving forward.
yeah, yeah, just hearing his performance on this, it was really like, oh my god, I think
Hell
it's coming.
no. What I would say, I'm surprised that Don Toliver has not made an impact on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Kanye West, I think his feature on Rock and Roll is incredible.
okay, when you text me the Kanye West feature, I was gonna say which one
I don't think
because I like both of them.
I think the beat on the other one is better.
Okay,
But the
but
feature
Junior
I
was
think
best.
is not as good. No,
Okay.
like low key, like this is gonna be a very specific like vibe, but I know you're gonna like believe. Have you ever been at like a party and someone who's like a believer, they just start preaching, but like it's just like short enough and everyone's drunk enough that like it's fine. I know you know what I'm talking about because you're usually the guy doing it, but like someone comes in on some god shit, but like they're smooth with it and like it's short enough that like it doesn't ruin the vibe. Like that's kind of how it feels. Like,
Okay,
do you
I
like
like
that?
that
Like, do
comparison.
you like
I
like
do like that comparison. I'll give you that.
yeah, like
Mostly because that is me.
yeah. But yeah, no, I really, really. Oh, also Brambleton's so good.
It's my. I'm serious. It might be one of my songs of the year so far.
Loki, I liked the song when it came
It is
out.
so good.
Hot take, I liked the song when it came out, but
Okay.
Diet Coke might be like one of the weaker songs on the album.
Weaker.
Yeah, I would say. I like it. Like
See,
I'm not saying
the
it's
thing
bad.
is,
I'm just saying it's like one of the weaker spots on the album.
right,
That's
and
all I'm saying.
so Again, and the reason I do agree is because the thing that I mentioned earlier. It's because like I've heard the song already.
Yeah,
I heard it in its own context, so I can't. It's hard for me to place it in a larger picture. Because
yeah,
only see it as like itself.
yeah. On the flip side, the one with Jay-Z, like I heard it when it dropped, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But now, like on the album, it really bangs. So into that. Also, incredible closer.
Another thing I was going to mention, I feel like one thing that really stands out with this album, it's not the ad libs. I don't know the term that I'm looking for, but it's the little pieces that he adds in where it's almost like an interlude in the beginning of the song
Oh yeah,
where it introduces you to the song.
yeah, like a
Bro,
little like
they're so hard.
prelude. So
They're
good.
so hard. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah,
I've been saying that nonstop.
yeah. No, they're really really good. Man, I'm not gonna lie. At the office this week, when someone was like, "What'd you do this weekend?" I was like, "Shit, dog." Grabbed a couple pounds, quarter pounds from the border towns. You know what it is.
It's such a bar.
Yeah.
It's such a bar. Oh my god! And I keep finding new ones. So, I'll end it off with this.
Yeah.
My last take is it's very very rare where I get a full album, where I get an album and I enjoy it fully from front to cover.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened in a minute. I'll have to think about the last album that I
Yeah.
actually truly enjoyed. I think the last one I truly enjoyed was a Vince Staples one.
Yeah. That's fair.
That
Oh,
one I fully enjoyed, but it's very rare that this happens.
okay. I agree. We should definitely move on, but I also have like one observation I want to run past you because I think it's
Okay.
low key kind of crazy. So 12 tracks, right? Doesn't sound like it's going to be that long, but does it sound like it's going to be 35 minutes? That seems very short.
That's,
It's an easy listen. It is an easy 35 minutes.
I've listened to this album probably 10 times over the last week.
It's so good. Oh, also I found out who Nigo is.
Oh, well, go ahead because I
Yeah.
did some research too. But
Oh,
you go
he's
first.
the Bathing Apes guy.
You can say I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
I
know
like
much
that
about
song. I like that song quite a bit actually.
the "Hear Me Clearly."
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And again, that's one of the singles.
Yeah.
Before.
Ugh. All right. So let's run through some of the news.
All right, for sure.
News. All right.
It's not much that we can gather.
Not
It's
much.
still early in the week.
Yeah, we're recording a little early this week just because, life happens. We're pretty
Life.
small.
Yeah, I
We're
was going to say
sorry.
literally life.
We're sorry, Isaac. So we
Isaac
got
actually on this.
yeah. So we got 3 albums dropping this week, right? We got Action Bronson, Coco Drillo Turbo, Future, I Never Liked You, and Toby Lou, April Showers. Purvis, tell me why you're gonna listen to Purvis. Tell me why you're gonna listen to Future and make mistakes this weekend. Tell me why.
Okay, I'll say this: I'm not gonna make any mistakes, but I am very excited.
Yo, my girl's going on vacation, so if you want to listen to Future this weekend and make mistakes, yo, I'm down.
I'm down. I am definitely down. We can do some stupid stuff.
Dude, we could slash tires and break into cars. It'd be great.
Whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the album title of "I Never Liked You." I do
That's
expect
so
this to be.
I'm just it's just such a perfect Future title because it's if you sent that as a text message, you're not getting into a fight. There's no one you can send that to, and they're not gonna throw hands. You send that to a girl, done. You send that to your mom, done. You send that to a dope dealer, done. You send that to a Chinese food restaurant that buddy buddy, not gonna happen, man. They don't like you anymore. It's so very pointed and dramatic.
Right. I was gonna say he's known for the Toxic King. I do think it's gonna be toxic. I do want to bring up a quick conversation of is there a limit? Because do you know how old Future is?
7,000 years old.
No, actually, how old do you think Future is?
12. I don't know, man. I'm bad with numbers. Don't do this to me.
This man is 38. He's gonna be 39 this year.
I feel like that. I legitimately thought he was in his mid-40s.
I okay, I didn't think he was that old, but like we now that he's getting to that point, that like, okay, you're about to be 40. You can't at some point when do you grow up and stop being toxic? Or is this or do you think this is also another maybe a persona? Maybe it's like it's not as
No,
bad
this
as
is
it
no.
makes
I
it.
think this is him.
Okay.
Yeah, Future doesn't seem to wrap his stuff in a lot of artistry, so
Yeah.
I tend to think of it more as like on the ground reporting. Oh my lord!
I'm gonna listen to it.
I
Got a
mean,
Drake
who's
feature.
not? I mean, how could you not? How could you not listen to this?
Do you know anything about the Action Bronson album?
Just that I'm gonna listen to it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know any track lists. I don't know if there's a theme.
Neither do I. Action Bronson exists in like this gap for me. I always listen to his stuff like within a week or two after it drops. You know, I'm a fan, but like, I'm not his biggest fan in the world at the same time. So, you know,
This
I
might
see
be
it.
bold to say, but is anybody really
I don't think
primarily an Action Bronson fan?
no. I feel like action. No, I feel like their Action Bronson is not someone who has like a huge, heart like core fan base. But I
No.
feel like he's also somebody who is relatively well liked. Like,
That's true.
like
There's
how many?
nothing like negative to say about
No, like and I think he's very talented. Like I think he consistently drops dope features, dope songs. I feel like he's like an artist. Like he just does it because he likes it. Because like he has like all those cooking shows and stuff that he does. So
it. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think that's the appeal. I think if the appeal is just like he's someone who just does it to do it.
Which is rare in
Yeah,
this industry.
yeah, for sure. And like it's refreshing. I think that's probably the word to use it. So tell me about this Giveon video you sent me in the middle of my workday.
I mean, it kind of falls within this podcast. It was
Giveon falls
R and
into
B
the
and
scope of the
about to
podcast.
say yeah, R&B and but Giveon is back. He said he's releasing a single this week called "Lie Again," and doesn't really sound toxic. It actually sounds like some real sad stuff. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, this is gonna
I
be
have a lot of
sad.
music that's gonna drop.
This is
Oh, this is a perfect time to bring this up because I did, or my brother actually brought this up in the family group chat. And when I say family group chat, it is not the one with my. Let me just clear that up. It's the one with all my cousins.
sick.
Whose voice is actually better, Frank Ocean or Daniel Caesar?
Ooh,
And the reason I bring
I
this up
don't.
is because we were just talking about like R&B, and we're talking about Giveon is like somebody that's going to come in right after them, and the way I broke it down, and I'll give you my answer. Frank Ocean is the music you listen to after a relationship, whereas Daniel Caesar is the music you listen to going into the relationship. Daniel Caesar makes happy love music. Frank Ocean makes sad love.
I mean, I feel
So
like
with
that's.
that being
I
said, what
feel
do you
like
think?
that's a very. Well, first off, I feel like that doesn't answer the question of like who's the better singer. Cause hot take,
Well, he said better voice, and I can't
like
think about the voice without the lyrics. You know.
yeah, well like because like in terms of just like singing ability, I'll be honest, I don't think Frank Ocean is like anywhere near the best in R&B. Like I
Mhm.
think Frank Ocean is good because of his sheer force of will, creative vision that he that is unequaled. Like that's what I think. Like don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad singer by any stretch. But like Daniel Caesar, Giveon, like Brent Faiyaz, like any given R&B singer, I think could take him like is probably a better singer. Um that being said, I like Daniel Caesar, but I've never I never dived into him the way you have. So maybe that's something I'll do.
You've never really listened to Daniel Caesar
I've
before?
heard him. I think he's talented.
Okay.
Like I just like I'm not completely ignorant to him, but I also probably couldn't name a song off the top of my head.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah. So maybe it's something I'll look into. But
I
yeah,
see your
so
point.
Giveon, like he's kind of like a more of a newer voice in R&B, right? Because I feel like he's only been around for a few years. But I'm also like not as tuned into R&B as I would like to be. So tell me more.
Well, I would say Giveon came to the scene with Drake when Drake released that. I think it
Was
was a 2 or 3 song thing. Um, I don't know what the name would be. It's not like an EP or whatever, but regardless, he
what
did
was it?
do a
Dark
thing.
Lane demo tapes with
It was put on that album, but it was actually released previous to that. Because
uh
when Drake released, it was a 2 song thing. One of them was Chicago Freestyle that did feature Giveon.
yeah.
And then the other one, okay, well, I can't find it right now. I'm not gonna dwell on this for too long. But anyway, Giveon came to the scene with Drake. The song Chicago Freestyle,
Yeah.
and I think
Everyone
he
knows that
absolutely
song.
carried it. I think he did a fantastic job on the song.
Yeah.
After that, he eventually put out his own music. He did put out an EP or two that I think are both top notch. They're both very, very good. And
Has he
then he
put
came
out
out.
like a big album yet?
Take Time was just the first album I see here in 2020. It's about 25 minutes long. It's only 8 songs, but man, it is very highly streamed. Now that I look at it, Jesus Christ, one of the songs has
I know Giveon
over
has like
600
a
million.
fan base.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was this big. But yeah, he's relatively new to the scene, and I'd say he's earned his own respect.
All right. Yeah. That's what I'll do this weekend. I'm gonna listen to Giveon. Giveon. Fuck.
You're gonna have a hard R&B weekend when your
That's
girl
kind
is
of
out of
that's kind of what I'm
town.
doing. It's kind of the vibe. You know, it's gonna be flipping between that and Pusha T music.
What a balance!
Yeah, the yin and yang of springtime in Chicago. Like, all right. As far as news, the only thing we have here is, I mean, a relatively interesting story about Lyrical Lemonade. So they have a festival that is kind of over.
Yeah, it's some controversy
Yeah,
there.
there's some controversy around it for taking up Douglas Park on Juneteenth. So, what are your thoughts on this? Because the community is saying that it should be used for a um, it should be used for the black community.
Right.
So
I'm
I
gonna
want
say
to put
that
the
that's the
ball in
best.
your court.
I was gonna say that that's the best way to say it. But yeah, they're taking up Douglas Park on Juneteenth, and I feel like, well, what I've read is that a lot of people kind of pushing that because they want to utilize the space for what's the best way to put it? More. They want to utilize the space to make sure they actually put more importance on Black history in the actual event.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair.
Understanding, right? Understanding the community does support the artist that's going to be there, and it does line within the same culture. It's important to recognize these days for a deeper meaning, I guess I can say. We want to give respect to the History Day and not actually have a festival with music, but actually spend the day speaking about like actual historical
Yeah.
events and details that happen and have a deeper meaning. Music can only go so far.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
So yeah,
I was gonna say I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like having a concert there is nice, but in reality, I know it is just for like the city to earn money. It was
yeah,
just kind of unfortunate that they're taking away this very known used space
yeah.
to actually celebrate like Black history.
So I actually have a interesting. So Riot Fest last year was in Douglas Park, right? And I remember when when you get there, you kind of have to walk around the entire park to get in, and the entire side of the the fence on the outside of the park had protest flyers because the community was talking about how because Riot Fest is there and it's a festival, it's all weekend, and it's also something that's there for like just because of the size of it. I don't know how big Lyrical Lemonade is compared to Riot Fest, but it's there for like months at a time. It's not something that goes up in a weekend like a state fair. And I remember like all those signs they were saying like the community didn't want Riot Fest there. They say it's all it is tax money for the city. The big point of contention when I like looked into the issue because like I'm into like this kind of stuff, right? And normally I come down on the side of the community. And the reason they said that they didn't want Riot Fest in Douglas Park was because of the soccer fields. Those are the soccer fields that kids played soccer on. And when I looked into it, like, I couldn't find if it was like a soccer team, if it was just a place where kids would go after school to play soccer. I think both are valid. Like, I think like there's valid reasons to say like, hey, it kind of sucks that you're taking this away from kids. But it was just something interesting that it kind of seems that like if you put a festival in anywhere that's not a place that's already dominated by consumerism, there's going to be this pushback. Like if you put it in any place that's like an actual community, and maybe that's an argument for like not doing it.
I mean, it's pretty damn good, strong.
Yeah,
do it.
I mean, you
look at of all things.
Yeah, you look at something like Lala, which is probably the size of Lyrical Lemonade and Riot Fest put together, and no one gives a shit because
it's downtown in the middle.
It's downtown in the middle of Grand Park, right?
Right. It's not affecting
people
that actually live down.
It's not affecting real people, right?
Right. That's the best way to put it.
And the other thing, though, that the reason why I brought up the Riot Fest thing is because it's different. Because they're saying, like, oh, this park is in, a black neighborhood, which it is, and Juneteenth is a holiday, we should have that space for it. And to me, like, oh, I buy that completely. Like, that, I think, is, like, 100%, like, I see that one. Like, there's no reason why Lyrical Lemonade, like couldn't be in any other place. It's the city, really, not Lyrical Lemonade.
That is also true.
Like a fair amount of this goes on the city. But yeah, I think the community is completely right about this. But something I've just noticed is specifically at Douglas Park, it seems like the community doesn't want any music festivals there. And, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, is that fair or not? Of course it's fair. It's their community. But like, is that a reasonable expectation? I think that's up for debate. I'm probably on the sides of yes, but who am I? Got through the newsy news. We talked about Pusha T. Now, we want to talk about a TV show for once?
Yeah, this would be a very...
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting switch up.
Yeah. So this is going to be one of those episodes where it's like, are we really talking about hip-hop?
In reality, I feel like this does fall.
I 100% think this does, right? So we're talking about Bel-Air. If people don't know, Bel-Air is would you call it a remake?
Oh, I
would not call it a remake. It's a reinterpretation.
That's what it is. I don't know.
It's a reinterpretation.
Okay.
Because like I feel like reboot implies that they're doing it again. So I feel like if it was like a 30-minute sitcom, like multicam, like the old Fresh Prince, like that would be a reboot. It's not a remake because it's certainly a different story, but it's like it's the story of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the sitcom from the '90s that everyone knows that gave us Will Smith. It's that sitcom done in the style of like dramatic hour-long prestige TV that dominates the last 15 years. And low-key, I thought it was real fucking good.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree. I was very surprised because I had just found out about Bel-Air coming out maybe a week or two at most prior to it being released, or like its pilot episode.
Yeah.
And going into it, everything that I saw online, Twitter, Instagram, something as delicate and precious as the Fresh Prince and the story and the culture behind it and its impact on all communities. You don't really want to mess with things like that. It's very sensitive. Like
I very much empathize with that viewpoint.
Right. If you do it incorrectly, you are greatly like you're ruining something that's almost perfect. Um.
So that's
So even I went into it very negative.
so that's interesting because I love movies. I've had movie podcasts in the past of hang out with like movie people. So the concept, like the conversation about remakes, is like something we go through over and over and over again, right? And my philosophy has always been like, I don't believe that the remake ever hurts the original, right? So even if they did try to do like a much more generic remake of it, to me it never ruins the legacy of the original. It could be bad, and it could be laughably bad, but I think it'll always hold up. I can't think of an example of like a show being remade or rebooted and the reboot was so bad that people stopped liking the originals.
Now that you said that, as soon as you started like saying all this, I've been thinking about an
Yeah.
example because I knew that's what you were leading to.
But I
I don't
do
know.
I do empathize with that viewpoint just because like I think if you're a creator who wants to make a show like this or do a story like this, I think that's something you need to consider. I do think that viewpoint has value. It's just I usually tend towards the opposite side. And
Hmm.
I would definitely say that if you want to like inoculate yourself from that kind of reaction, like just keep people from having like that very venomous like, oh, this is just a remake of the old thing, you have to do it differently, right? And
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is the like a textbook example of like what I mean because as far as like similarities to the original show, all it really shares is the characters in the story. And I say that in the broadest scope.
Right. As in like these same characters are being played, but they have not very different identities, but you can tell there's a
Reinterpreted.
lot of right.
Reinterpreted identities,
There's a
right?
lot of change where it fits better within the
Yeah.
new plot of the show.
So, yeah, I totally. And the new plot being like as dramatic and prestigey and like just that's the word I use to describe the show. It's very dramatic. And
I was gonna say,
sometimes like I think to its detriment. Like I think sometimes it's like you guys could just be adults about this. But then again they're 17. Like
right, and that's something to take into consideration. The way that I was thinking about it, because we're putting so much emphasis on drama, because I feel like personally the way it compares to the original, it's like mixing a show like Power or Empire
yeah.
to the Fresh Prince,
Yeah, it really
where they
is.
are very known, strong black cast, dramatic like plots that relate to our culture,
Yeah, dramatic
and it does a great job at doing it.
for lack of a better word, like political intrigue plots, you know? Like in this one,
Hmm.
like Uncle Phil is literally running for district attorney. But like, it's all about power, it's all about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it's very successful. I think it wants to re-examine the story of the Fresh Prince and like do it and kind of offer like a very realistic take on like the PTSD a lot of black boys get like living in the areas like the west side of Philadelphia. I think it was handled very, very well.
It does a great job at covering those more sensitive topics.
Yeah. I would say like one of my big takeaways was that I feel like the storytelling got a lot more subtle and like mature when it started getting to like more serious topics. Like a good example would be like whenever Will confronted Carlton about like his drug problem, which was a
Yes, I'm
plot.
glad you brought that up.
Yeah, like it feels like when there's the big family drama that like fuels like 80% of the show. Like the writing can be very broad and like over dramatic and in your face.
Mhm.
I think when it gets to those more serious topics, like when Will confronts Carlton about his drug use, another good one is like when Ashley and Hillary talk about like her coming out, like I think like the writing gets a lot stronger.
I do agree with that. I feel like it was very up in the air, almost too um, out of control at the beginning of the series, where it's very heavily focused on
Yeah,
how the impact of gun violence and that dangerous neighborhood can impact Will as a young person
yeah,
or as a young Black American man, which is important to put emphasis on. I feel like it starts tying it back up in expanding on more serious things. The two examples that you gave, another one that I was thinking about was Hillary posting on social media more sexual acts and how that plays into like the Black woman community.
yeah.
Um,
I
it,
I
it, a
I
lot.
so I think if there's any character that like really like completely outshines their original, it's Hillary.
Mm,
Like they made her like such an interesting like inspection on this entire culture of like online influencers. And
yeah,
like I thought low key best part of the show was I thought was Hillary's entire arc. And the
I
actress
would
was
say at least an
incredible.
improvement compared to the old one. Yeah.
I think she was. I think the issue with like Hillary in the original was like she played ditzy to the point of being dumb, and
Yes.
like this one you could tell she was a little ditzy. You could tell she was a little naive, but you could also tell she was like smart.
Hmm.
And I kind of like that because there are a lot of people like that. Like
Yeah.
we're kind of
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like no, I think a lot of people like get portrayed as like unintelligent, because of things like inflection and stuff. And like, let's be real, like if you're a woman, it's worse, and if you're black, it's worse. So like, ugh.
Yeah.
So
It was a great improvement compared to the other one because I will
yeah, I
say
think like
the
if
old
there's
Hillary was
anyone,
actually shallow.
I'll say this though, I also think like she's the only one that's like an improvement. Like as good as I think the show is, I think it's good in that it's very very different, but like it's not like instantly the classic that the Fresh Prince was. You know what I mean? Like some
Hmm.
shows hit and like in their first season you're like, "Oh, this is incredible." Like
Hmm.
this could be every bit as good as like you think it is based on like whether that's source material like Game of Thrones or whatever. Or, like an adaptation like we could have left this season being like this is as classic as the Fresh Prince. I don't think it's that good.
But it has potential.
It certainly has potential. And I'll say the best thing you can say about a TV show is like, are you excited for season 2? And I really am because
Hmm.
I think I'm very excited to see where they go with Carlton and Will.
I would say the most improved over the show was Carlton.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I did not hate the changes they made to Carlton. To me, they felt fine, but I'm also like not black, so there's that. Uh,
sure.
but yeah, like his character was like very annoying in the first few episodes, and
Yes.
then and now by the end, like I just want by the end, like the thing I've gotten is like, oh my god, I love his actor and the actor who plays Will together.
Hmm.
Right, like they're a great duo. Like I want to see them like have a bunch of scenes together, and like if it kind of feels like that's the arc they're going down. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Well, I guess we don't want to ruin the show, but the last episode
oh,
does a great example
oh no, I
of
can solve that. Spoilers for this episode that you're watching about. You're listening to a
now we
podcast
can
about.
discuss
Yeah, we're
everything.
gonna spoil everything.
That does make sense.
Will Smith is a Jedi. No, that is what
Um,
happened.
the last episode, at least speaking about how they play off each other, I feel like Carlton was going through a redemption arc, which did give it some leeway and why I started liking him a little bit more.
Yeah,
But just like the way it ends, where he's going to Lisa's house and like actually crying, of all places he can go, like that's someone who's putting pride aside and
yeah,
actually like trying to find out the best solution, regardless whatever it takes.
totally agree. Let's go down the other main characters to give our thoughts. Okay, so Will, what do you think of this guy playing Will?
I think he does well. I think he fits perfectly within the role. I don't think anyone should compare him to the original because I
Yeah,
don't think it's fair.
yeah, I don't think it's fair because like it kind of sucks that like they're inviting the comparison because like the character is literally named Will Smith.
It's literally like they're trying to copy paste
Yeah,
it.
and what I think this actor does is like take the same energy Will Smith had in the early '90s and do it in 2022 in a way that's not super corny.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the way. In that regard, I think like okay, I think it's a knock out of the park, and I'm very much excited to see this guy grow as an actor, not just in this show and other things, because I'm sure he's going to be in other things now. On one hand, he seems very, very talented, and on the other end, it seems like a very exciting actor to watch grow. Like I can see him getting much, much better.
You're saying like his roof is higher.
Yeah,
And
I feel like I was impressed with his performance in this, but at the same time, I feel like he can grow some more and get better.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. See, it's different. Like talking about an actor's performance is a lot different than like talking about like a hip hop album because it's only like one part of a whole,
Hmm.
right? Like, I don't think there's any particularly weak performance in this show, but even if there was, it's not gonna matter as much compared to like a bad song on a 10 track album. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that comparison.
So let's keep going. What about Aunt Viv? How'd you feel about Aunt Viv?
I believe it or not personally, I believe that she is the one character that is at the same level. Almost.
She's
Like
very very good.
yes, I think she's probably one of the best person that fits the original role.
Yeah,
Because I don't think like they didn't make any adaptations to the actual like character. Like they didn't change how they function, how they think, things that they're interested in, and like their mannerisms. She is the one person I feel in the whole show that she literally could just like take the. Of course, I wouldn't want her to, and I don't think anyone deserves that. But she could fit in the old show,
yeah,
and
no,
vice versa.
she's the closest to a 1-to-1
Yes.
character swap. Yeah, 100%. I think that they give Aunt Viv as a character a lot more than Aunt Viv ever got in the show, like in the '90s show, and I think she handles it beautifully.
Hmm.
But yes, I would agree, and I kind of like that because I think it kind of grounds the whole show because Aunt Viv is
They
like
needed.
Aunt Viv is the one character who's in every storyline going on.
I was going to
She's
say she's the core of the
Yeah,
family.
she might not be the lead, but she is the rock of the family, and you really see that in the way that the show is centered.
Hmm.
You know, like every single storyline, save maybe the one with Jeffrey, is her at the center of it. You know, with Will's mom, Carlton, Uncle Phil, all of them.
I'd say, crap, I'm drawing a blank now. When she came out as, or possibly coming out as lesbian, she played a role in that.
Oh, Ashley.
Um, yep, she played a role in Lisa's mom,
Yeah,
like passing.
yeah,
Like she literally is in every single storyline.
yeah. She's in every single storyline. Like she's the only one that is.
Okay, well then, what do you feel about? Because I think, don't get me wrong, obviously Will Smith is the main character, and that would be the toughest comparison and the most pressure on the new actor as playing Will. But how do you feel about Uncle Phil? Because he is one of the, I don't know if the only, but one of the first main characters to pass since the show was originally released. So he has a big role to fill.
Yeah,
How do you feel that he did?
he has a big role to fill, especially because James Avery was something of a legend as well.
Exactly.
You know, so the thing is, they're doing Uncle Phil very, very differently. You know,
Hmm.
like I remember Uncle Phil being like comically like over the top, like stuffy rich guy. And first off, this dude, I'm gonna pull up the IMDb because I want to be able to like say all these people's names.
Hmm.
But overall, I like Uncle Phil. I think it's a thankless job because, boy, like you're dealing with a legacy that is not fun. Adrian Holmes. Okay. I think Adrian Holmes gets like a thankless job as like playing Uncle Phil just because how could you fill that giant hole in that giant James Avery hole in like the space of like this story. And it seems like with the storyline coming, it seems like we got some of the big Uncle Phil moments coming in the second season, which is happening. So overall, I really liked it, like completely on its own regard, and I think like the storyline is so different from anything in the original show that like I you can do that. You can just think about it strictly as like, oh, how does this character feel like completely on his own? And I think it's a very compelling character. I think some of the political observations made in his storyline are actually pretty astute. But I feel like I still need to watch him grow into like that Uncle Phil role. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
I feel like I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard because I can't imagine, at least for right now, he's doing fairly well. I don't know how he can better fill the role or fit into the original role
I don't think it's
because, like, James Avery is just one of a kind. And he
a,
played it off perfectly where you have that serious tone and that, like, joking tone.
yeah.
You know when to flip the switch.
I think I think it's more in the writing than it is in the performance. I think it's more
I
like
see what
putting his character in situations where he can have that. And to be honest, I think like, and this was the way it was in this show too, because like the jovial side of Uncle Phil didn't come around until like a couple seasons in. But I would like to maybe see that turn in season two. Like, give me more of like the jovial, like unafraid to love Uncle Phil.
you're
You know what I mean?
saying.
Okay.
It's difficult because he is such in the new show at least. He's
Yeah.
such a family man.
Yeah.
He's already kind of played that role. Like I'm gonna protect my family, and I will kill literally anyone.
I think I think he plays like that like protector patriarch role very well. And once again, like I think the actor, given the story he was given, I think he did an incredible job. I
Mhm.
just hope that they take the character in some directions to stretch it in some other ways.
Because he seems maybe a bit too serious now.
Maybe just a touch.
Okay,
Now, let's talk about like probably the character that changed the most from the
bruh.
original. Are we gonna talk about Jeffrey?
Bro, Jeffrey puts the G in like, bro.
Now,
He's a G. That's all I'm gonna say.
like, yeah, he's Black James Bond. Like, he's the coolest dude. Like,
Like I the shift between the original one and this one.
yeah,
I don't even know who came up with the idea, but I love them.
yeah.
They did a great job in introducing a whole new aspect to the show.
It's kind of interesting because it's kind of taking the. It's a very common stereotype of like the, just like of the like the upscale British person, you know,
Interesting that you said that. Yeah.
and it's a kind of a thing you see like just with people like Daniel Craig and Tom Hardy, but like you also see it with like Idris Elba and
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, the actor playing this guy. Like
Yes.
100% he pulls it off. But what's interesting though is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was tongue in cheek because of it was the late 80s, early 90s. But wasn't Jeffrey gay in the original?
I. It's interesting that you said that because I swear I just had this conversation with my
Yeah,
family recently.
yeah.
I
Like,
don't know if he was gay in the original.
I'm
It's
pretty.
either one of the two.
I
It's
think it
either
was
like the actor was gay or like the character was gay, and I
the
know one of the.
the character is definitely extremely flamboyant, and he's not in this one.
Okay.
And low key, I would have respected him if like they just like this character, exact same one, just also a gay dude. Like
Mhm.
I would have been like, that's tight. Not that like I give a shit really, because I think like if they're gonna explore that, I think it's definitely more interesting to explore it with Ashley.
Mhm.
Just because like I think it's important to be like, oh, like when kids reach puberty, like that is naturally like when that's gonna happen, and we have to be okay talking about it because of all the shit that because people clearly don't know that and everything goes crazy. Uh,
Everything goes crazy.
yeah, so I think it's definitely more interesting to talk about that through the lens of like the character of Ashley. But low-key, I was kind of hoping that was going to come at some point in the gross. I was hoping
Bro, this
that.
is the second time. No one was even thinking about it. We are falling apart. Like, we are falling at the seams.
Yeah.
We literally just talked about this. Like, I'm typing 5,000 words a day. You're a freaking creative director. Like, our words are
Not a
just
creative
falling apart.
director.
Well, not creative director,
My
but
boss is a creative director. Like,
you're gonna get there.
eventually, I'll get there.
Yes, exactly. See, we're speaking into existence. We talked about this earlier. Just a little bit of Jesus in your life.
Okay, let's get to the
Okay,
other.
back to
Let's get to the other one because like I don't need an intervention with God. Like, okay, tell me how you feel about this Carlton guy. Tell me how you feel about this interpretation of the character.
I hated it at first. I really did. I think the reason I hated Carlton at the beginning was because I deep down didn't want a portrayal. I was about to get personal. Okay, so as you know, I grew up in River Forest, Snow Park. I am surrounded by white people. A lot of my close friends, Caucasian, and I would hate to see the portrayal of like a young black man being confused because he's surrounded by like people that are not in his original culture.
Yeah,
So you see things like drug abuse, where don't get me wrong, that is absolutely in the black community as well. But like the choice of drug, cocaine ain't really as popular than other ones, I would say.
yeah,
Um, on top of that, like the whole scene where like, oh, you're in the locker room, and Will walks in, there's a whole bunch of white people in there screaming "hot nigga" from Bobby Shmurda, and it was a wake up call. Where it was like, bro, you can't be surrounding yourself around all these people. So I hated him as a character at the beginning because he was
yeah. Because
pushover.
he was just like he was not a good character. He was not a character you were
Right.
supposed to like.
It was a shell, exactly. But he did grow on me eventually, where it seems like he almost got more in touch with his culture, his background, whether it be with his family, whether it be with the church, giving to like positive foundations that his father was representing because he's into politics. Like seeing that kind of stuff gave me a redemption arc for him. Like I said,
Yeah,
I was more happy for him at the end.
I
I
definitely
did like
think I definitely think like that's like the point of his entire arc is like to go from like you have Will the super cool kid and like Carlton who's like well in that regard it's kind of interesting because like Carlton in the original he was a loser
I
and
say he was lame
yeah whereas this
to
Carlton
everybody.
this Carlton like is cool but like he's like Bel-Air cool, you know what I mean,
Right.
which isn't real cool, which I think we could all agree rich cool is not real cool. Uh, but
Okay.
yeah, no, I definitely I saw the arc coming. Like I saw like okay, he's gonna start off being like an asshole, and then like by the end, him and Will are gonna be buddies. Like I knew that was gonna be like what the first season was. And to be honest, like all the changes they made, like for example, making him someone who's like not lame, cool with like anxiety. Like okay,
Oh
like that was
yeah.
that
Talks
was
about anxiety. How did I not mention
yeah, like like that's fine. Like that doesn't bother me one bit.
that?
But like I just thought the actor wasn't bringing a whole lot to it until those later episodes, and then like as his arc kind of went through, I was like, okay, and then by the end, like I'm like, okay, I'm completely sold.
Right.
I like this kid.
Like everything's wrapping up. Still enough.
Yeah,
Which again, like you mentioned earlier, that comes down, I guess, more to the writing than the actual actor.
yeah, yeah, and like I. I think like part of it was kind of like the stale performance in the first couple episodes, but I think as he like grew into the role, I think he did a better job. And then we already talked
How do
about
you?
what's up.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about Jazz?
That's what I was
We
going
didn't
to
talk
talk about
about
next.
Jazz.
Yeah, dude, I
Okay,
love
okay.
this dude as Jazz. Like,
Yeah.
first off,
He's good.
I thought like having him have like a more traditional arc with Hillary. First off, it makes a lot of sense because like let's be real, we live in a society that evolves over 30 years, and like the original plot line with Hillary would not fly. So I think like kind of the way they did it this way was like really real cool. I also kind of like that he's like the grounding factor for Hillary, which was really interesting. But as I have zero bad things to say about the dude's performance, and while I really like the way he was used, I wish we just saw more of him in Will.
Okay, yeah,
That's
I can
like
see
my
that.
one thing. If there was a, it's kind of weird to talk about the Fresh Prince this way, but like a lore disappointment, you know, like something I wanted to see based on my expectations that
Oh, that's completely
I
valid to say
yeah,
what
like
you're
something I
saying
wanted
makes
to see based on my expectations from the original show was just like I wanted to see more of Will and Jazz, and
yeah.
I feel like that's reasonable because like I feel like it would have worked within the context of what this show is, and not like what the show of the '90s was.
Because even in the show in the '90s, like he is Will's boy. Like that's his character. That's his role. If he's on the scene, it's because Will is also in the same
Yeah,
scene.
they're like in the same
Right.
scene. Like
Right.
I know
It
he's in like
changes in this show.
yeah. I love the idea that like he's like kind of a dude that does odd jobs around town. He has a record store, and he's like the dude that's like he's Will Cool in LA. Like that's cool. Like I love that. Like
Mm. And I was actually the takeaway that I had for Jazz was, and this is the honestly the reason I love the whole show is because it does a really good job for the culture. I feel like it uplifts the black community in a positive light. There's a lot of shows out there that say like, "Oh, we're inclusive because we have black actors and we have black storylines," quote unquote. But it's always kind of portrayed in a negative light or does not do a good representation. Whereas I feel like it took every character, specifically Jazz, which is why I was thinking about Jazz in particular. It takes every character and raises their talent, their intelligence, their vocabulary, like everything about growth in the black community and becoming much more substantial and a solid lifestyle to follow. I think it does a really good job in this show, and specifically with Jazz, because Jazz in the original, he seemed to like I've been to LA. I went to LA last year, and it was a really dope experience because it's such a compact area where you have. I went to go see Bel Air, and I've seen the lifestyle. And
yeah,
then I drove maybe an hour or so in another direction. I'm in Compton, and I've seen that lifestyle. And I feel like in the original show, Jazz was portrayed as someone who was almost annoyed by like Uncle Phil because he's known to be thrown out the house and stuff like that for his negative antics
yeah.
that may not be seen in a good light. But I feel like this show does a much better portrayal of him to have much more substantial meaning behind his character, where he's almost like a guidance counselor for Will. Like anytime he's on the scene with Will now, it's in a
Positive.
positive
Yeah,
light where it's bringing up morals, values, ethics, stuff like that.
yeah. I definitely think that's like one of the coolest things about it. Is I kind of like how it is a purely positive relationship between Will and Jazz.
Hmm.
You know, definitely need to see more of those. Like just like positive male friendship. Not that like men don't get like screen time. Just like you know what I mean. Don't
Yeah,
cancel me. Don't do it. Not over Bel Air.
swear. I swear it was positive.
I swear I mean it. Please.
I guess.
But
And then,
that's kind of our take on like the show. But I think like the original, this is tied very heavily into music. Because like
yes,
Will
that's
Smith
exactly what I was about to
was a rapper. Like he was yeah, like he was a rapper, and like Jabari Banks isn't a rapper, but like I think they kept that spirit of like this show kind of has to represent like the culture of hip hop at its time. I think it does that. Like
hmm
that's a very
That's
tall order, and I think it kind of like does it. And can I say, like, one of the opening of the show is one of the best needle drops
bro,
in TV history. Like this shit is
bro.
up there with The Sopranos. Like
I'm glad we're taking this direction because I was like, at some point we have to tie this back to like a rap podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
No, we
it
don't. We're
opening
going to
up.
talk about other things too. We're going to walk into TV shows. You guys are lucky there was stuff to talk about, or we would have had a Batman episode.
Oh yeah, that's very true. We were very close to doing it
We were
already.
very close to doing a Batman episode. I will do it now. Like,
Loki, no, let me stop. But having, like you said, having the show open up with no role models, first things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. Bro, I got chills.
dude, it's
Like
so perfect.
I was
I,
so hyped.
I was instantly like, this show knows what it's doing. All the other like needle drops are so well done, but nothing
Bro,
was
dreams
just
and nightmares.
very good.
Bro, like the whole Philly theme with Meek Mill and having it come in.
Yeah,
It's the closing track to the season. It's one of the closing tracks to like one of the episodes. Is whew, they killed it. They killed it.
them changes for the introduction of jazz.
Hmm?
There's
Okay.
no artist that could have been a perfect introduction for jazz than Thundercat.
I'm curious, like, and I bear with me because I don't know much about the industry. Like, I'm curious who's assigned to like pick music and roles and how to fit them into
That's
the
a
scenes
that's a job. It's like a music supervisor.
because he kills it. Like, he's so in touch with the music. He has a lot of
Yeah,
big names
yeah,
and low key people.
yeah. Like first off, they definitely threw budget at this. Like just looking at this list of the artists that are featured on this just throughout, like they threw money at it. You could tell they threw way more at the first episode,
Right. It's
but
very heavy.
but it's crazy. And it kind of feels like the entire show kind of swims in this culture even though it's not about it in any regard. I think that's the difference that like Empire has. Like Empire is like about music, I think.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think yes,
yeah.
it is.
I gotta be honest, I've never seen all of Power. I saw like the first few episodes. I'm like, this is really good, but then I got very
Brandon,
busy.
I haven't seen all the power. You do not have to apologize.
Okay. Uh, but damn. Also, gotta be honest, "Teleport to Me, Jamie" is a song that gets to me every time.
Oh
When
yeah.
it dropped, like when Will and Lisa first dance, I was like, wow, you fucking got me, show.
All right, like that. You got me. It's that feeling too, like low key, where you kind of like, damn, they are killing it.
Yeah, they
I
got
don't
me.
know who's doing this, but like, it is so impressive how much music intertwines with the culture and with just
And how
the
well motivated it seems. Like, that's probably the
right.
word I'll use, is like, it ties very well into the emotions of the scene.
Hmm.
And, it's one thing to be like, okay, we need a song that perfect captures the emotion of this scene. And then you got to limit yourself to, and it's got to be a song that came out between 2008 and 2020, and, by an artist people recognize. And then it's like, man, where do you go? Like, because even that's a wide pool. And they nailed it every single time. I mean,
Yeah.
they have my literal favorite song of all time in the soundtrack in episode 9.
Which one? Wait a minute. Oh, damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be obvious. Like, the second you look at it, nope, it's Hopscotch by Opal. That's.
Like, no, it is definitely Kid Cudi. They have, and that's another thing that I'm glad you kind of spoke about. There is a lot of big names here. Just to give a quick list because they can't see our list here. J. Cole, Jay Z, Meek Mill, Thundercat, Childish Major, 21 Savage, Bobby Shmurda, Duckworth, A Tribe Called Quest, like D Smoke, Sweetie. All these names, like, are on top of the industry right
Yeah,
now.
Kid
But on
Cudi,
top of
Tierra
that,
Whack, Amber
right,
Mark, Bad Not Good.
it is a lot of people
It
here.
is a lot, and we'll link the Spotify playlist. There's like
Yes, that's
an
going to be a playlist.
official Spotify playlist
Already,
that we'll
already
just
thought about
link, and we don't. That's not even all of them. This is just like
it. Those are the big names.
those are the big names.
There's a lot of low key, like hidden
I
tracks.
died when Bobby Schmurder played. Like it should be obvious, But like that was like one of the ones where it was like, oh, they get it. Like that was another one where it was
Right,
like,
it clicks
they get it. Yeah.
because that's the scene where they're all in the locker room. You get Carlton in the middle of all these white dudes
Now
screaming.
there's a so and Buddy even has a cameo in it, right?
Yes, he
Yeah.
does show up.
So question for you: is there an artist who you want to see make a cameo in season 2? Hard mode, you can't say J. Cole.
Oh, who would I want to see show up? Who would be chilling in Bel Air randomly? Low key, I would want Will. I would want there to be an episode. Will somehow ends up in Compton, and someone from TDE shows up. That's what I would personally want. Obviously, they can't have Kendrick because no one's gonna
Yeah.
have fun for that. But having possibly Sir, possibly Schoolboy Q, you know,
The Schoolboy Q would be cool as like an antagonist.
right? I'm just saying
Yeah.
he's done acting stuff before, so like it's not that far a stretch.
Okay, here's my pitch. Hear me out. Okay, brace yourself. I
Oh
want
boy.
Donald Glover to play himself.
How would he fit in this story, Brandon?
He lives there.
Does he? Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, like just have it be like, hey, like Uncle Phil's trying to prove that he's cool, and it's like I'm hanging out with this guy, Donald Glover, and they're like, oh, we know Donald Glover, he's real. Like, or conversely, have him play Earn. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I would want to see like now that we're like thinking about people like that. I would want to see maybe Tyler the Creator.
Oh,
Maybe
Tyler the
like
Creator.
Tyler the
Oh,
Creator.
that's a real pick. I would love to see Tyler
Yes.
the Creator show up. Like,
Yes. This would be a dope cameo.
because I do feel wow, crazy. I feel like for our generation, maybe more yours than mine. Like Tyler the Creator is the closest thing we've gotten to a Will Smith in a very long time.
Ooh, I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, but he kind of is though. Like when you think about it,
Personality wise, yeah,
just like over the top,
right.
colorful,
He's in your face.
in your face. The only thing is that like Will Smith is like in your face and nice.
Well, Tyler's nice now.
Now he's nice. Yeah, ever since he came out of the closet, like
Right, he didn't used to always be nice.
yeah, he
now
used
he's
to be a goblin.
nice.
But yeah,
Was he good at it?
so you like the show?
I do like the show.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Should we talk
season
about
two.
season 2 when it comes out? Should we do another
Do you know
episode?
when it comes out?
I think it comes out next year at the same time as this one, like January.
Be waiting.
Yeah.
Watch Atlanta in the meantime.
Yeah. All right, let's do our recommendations and let's get out of here because I'm starving.
Fair enough. Also, the Bulls just officially have been knocked out of the playoffs.
It was a good season. Hey, I've watched basketball this
Yes.
season. Tell me you're proud of me.
I'm very proud of you. I am very proud of you.
I
You've done a
even
great
went
job.
to a game. We got to go next year.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big improvement.
Yeah. Okay. You want to go first or should I?
Go ahead. Knock
Okay.
yourself out.
So the first one I'm going to recommend is it's a pop song. And it's super high energy. It's like indie pop, right? But it's just so fun. I hope this artist gets a lot more play. It's called System by Taylor Parks. And I think like the thing that's interesting is it has a beat switch in it. Like, and that's not common in pop, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's not common.
Yeah, it's like, and it's a pretty. It's interesting because like the lyrics and the singing like don't change, but like the beat changes dramatically. It gets like a lot slower. So like the same verse flows so differently, and it gets me every time. So highly recommend. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to need to see that.
Yeah. So System by Taylor Parks.
Good. Let me say this. Okay. My first song will be 4 AM by 2 Chainz. and it does not need an introduction.
No, that's. I know what you've been up to.
Well, let's say I could go into that if you want me to, but
No, we don't have to. We know. We know.
you're gonna sit here and tell me that you not listen to 2 Chainz this week.
I do love 2 Chainz. Who doesn't love
Yeah,
2 Chainz?
it's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
All right. I'm going to bring up it's a throwback. Bit of a throwback.
Okay.
It's the song Embrace the Martian by Kid Cudi.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's on the mixtape.
Yeah.
Or is
that
that
was
actually that's
it
on
was on a
mixtape.
mixtape, but it wasn't on a Kid Cudi mixtape. It was with the group Crookers. They made like a bunch of like the remix, like the more dancey, club friendly remix of his early stuff, like the Day and Night remix, the Pursuit of Happiness remix. So it was an original song that they did that he does the vocals on.
Okay.
So a little bit of a throwback, but my third one is a lot of bit of a throwback. So like a little teaser.
But then my second one was actually, I guess 2 Chainz is big too, but I feel like this is a very big known artist, and it's just a song that kind of people may have forgotten about. The song "Armed and Dangerous" by Juice WRLD.
Ooh.
It's an absolute banger from one of his like first official albums. So good.
Oh, who doesn't love Juice WRLD? Ugh. All right, my last one.
Throwback.
All right, my last one is My Adidas by Run DMC. So the other day I was helping my parents with some of their stuff, like moving some of their stuff now that me and my siblings have all been out of the house and we all have like most of our stuff. And I was helping my dad move his record collection. And there it was. It was Run DMC's Raising Hell. It was the first hip hop album I ever heard because it was the only hip hop record my dad had. And we played it. And like the thing that stuck away from me is like, damn, we're still talking about Adidas. Like, aren't we though? Like, it's kind of crazy, like how deep entrenched this culture is. Like, and also kind of crazy.
Entrenched
like,
is the right word.
Yeah, and like also kind of crazy, like when people complain about it as if like it's like a new phenomenon. Like, nah, man, this stuff's been going on forever. Like,
right. I'd say you're new to it, maybe.
Yeah, you're old. Like, you're an old person. Like, enjoy being closer to death.
Well, since you went with a throwback, I'm going to switch with my third one and do another throwback that I've been listening to. Man, I would say normally I include one low-key artist, but forget it. I'm doing all big names. My third person is also another extremely big name, along with 2 Chainz and Juice WRLD. I've been listening to some Erykah Badu. Didn't you know?
Ooh, very different type of big name.
So smooth. Oh yeah, but still, it is.
Oh man,
it's one of the most smoothest beats I've ever heard, or songs, I should say.
I've been listening to D'Angelo's Brown Sugar like a motherfucker, and I can't believe I didn't recommend one of his songs.
Now we're throwing it in. That's fine.
Yeah, just the entire album. The entire album's crazy. Oh my god, just a instant update on Twitter because it's relevant to.
Lord, what happened?
Elon Musk, my least favorite person in the world. My Twitter account is basically an Elon Musk hate campaign. He tweeted out, next I'm buying Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in. Pusha T commented the little looky eyes. And
my god.
And it's like, God damn it. Like, I hate that I like this. I hate that I like something that had Elon Musk involved. Like,
that's insane. Because I heard you say Twitter and I opened up Twitter and that was the first tweet that popped up. Well, Twitter's about to change.
God, I don't want to talk about it. All right, guys. That's enough for us. We need a... We're gonna take this extra 7 minutes to rest. All right. Guys, we'll talk to you next week. Got a big one next week. Big one.
No, we don't.
Shut up. You're ruining the podcast.